Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Once again, this is Sarah Shafat. Welcome to CxO TV, where innovation meets ideas for growth via our knowledge sharing platform, CxO Global Forum. Joining us today, Naureen Hyat, co founder, TAFE Financial Services. Very good evening, Naureen. How are you today?
Thank you so much for having me, Sarah. I'm very well, thank you.
Thank you very much for taking out your valuable time for us today and be a part of our show. Noreen, from analyst to in Pakra to startups and co-founder of TACE Financial Services, please walk us through your journey with us.
Well, my journey started back, with it started prior to days when I started working for a credit rating agency in Lahore called Pakra. And while I was working for the agency, I happened to be a specialist for the microfinance sector.
Right.
And that's when, I really came to closely understand what the sector was all about and what the intricacies underlying the sector were. And, my first hand experience with people from the base of the pyramid really came about then. And, we saw what the implications of lack of finance can be on people's lives. So it was then, that we decided to come up with another fintech prior to this, which created a digital appeal application that automated the entire credit disbursement process. The purpose of which was to really remove the inefficiencies of the microfinance sector on the field. And that's, our first company was called Check-in Solutions.
Right.
And the Check-in Solutions was aimed at ultimately reducing the operational costs that underlie microfinance institutions via technology, and to
Okay.
pass on the benefits to the end consumer. And so Check-in then really became the predecessor to our journey into Thales. And what happened to be a B2B model at that time evolved into what Thales is now to be a financial institution itself. And that's how it started.
Right, right, great. What does TACE Financial Services do? Can you just elaborate on that?
Absolutely. So this is literally Pakistan's first fully digital financial institution. Legally, we are an
Right.
NBFC, and technically, we follow a neobank model. So the vision really is to be a full stack neobank, uh, with our flagship being credit at the heart of this is credit. And we have been operating since 2018 with nano loans. These are small loans, between 1,000
True.
rupees to 15,000, short tenors. And the beauty here is that we give out these loans without any collateral and any credit histories within literally a matter of minutes. And they all are done through your smartphone. And what we do is we do our assessment based
Okay.
on smartphone data and other transactional data using our proprietary algorithms. And that's how we're serving the masses. And ultimately, the plan is to bring in savings and investments into the play as well. Insurance is something we're already, working with insurance companies as a distribution play.
So, do you think that nowadays it's a need of such kind of solutions for people, and this is a successful model?
Yeah, I see. I think in Pakistan we have 43 banks, and another about 40 odd MFIs from RSPs. And we've seen, that despite these institutions, only about 10 million people actually exist in the credit bureau, actually have taken credit from any financial institution formally. And the
Okay.
population is vast. There's a vast need for people who are in need of liquidity to manage their day to day. Banks, because of their credit risk criteria, are unable to serve
True.
those sectors because of their higher risks profiles. So I think definitely there is a need, and we do see traction coming in, literally flowing into the doors. So that's something, even someone like ourselves would have those liquidity
True.
hiccups in a month. And so that's what we're
And
trying
maybe
to do.
it's quicker.
Sorry?
Maybe it's quicker also.
Absolutely. So the beauty here is that, as opposed to a bank, which probably, if at all, if they serve someone credit, they take nothing less than a month to approve a credit card.
Right.
And if you talk about an MFI, it takes nothing less than 7 days to 2 weeks. And we
True.
literally do this within 10 minutes for a new user, right from download to disbursement. And for repeat users, it can be anything under, 2 to 3 minutes.
Yeah, that's great because I heard a lot about it nowadays, and I was just thinking that I will ask you that it's going very successful these days because it's a need of people, I guess. Right now, people don't want to get into large process and just delays and all that. So that's about it. So, Noreen, why did you choose tech and entrepreneurship versus jobs?
See, I think for me, I never intended to become an entrepreneur. I don't even know if when I actually entered into it, entrepreneurship was even a word then. We started this back in 2014, 15. Now you see a wave of entrepreneurship come in. But I think, honestly, it was the purpose that was really close to my heart that drew me into starting something that at that time didn't really exist. And so it really was that vision and that purpose to serve the masses and to really address a need that drove us to create these. It was never really about a hype that we were following or about a trend that we were following at that time. You didn't even hear about the startups or even VC funding coming
True.
in. Now it's great to see that coming in, but for us it really was and still is the purpose that we are working towards.
Right, right. So, do you currently manage Dave and check-in solutions both?
No, so check-in actually ceased to exist when we transitioned into Days. In a way, it was a kind of a pivot from our model at check-in, which was a B2B model serving or going directly to the MFIs. And Days is now really, what we're managing. I don't think I
Right.
can think of any other. I don't have space or the time or even
Mhm.
the mind to think of anything else
That's
with
really
Days right now.
interesting. True, true, very right. So, what challenges did you face as a young woman social entrepreneur?
See, I think one being an entrepreneur itself has underlying challenges. It's at least the journey has been pretty interesting. It's entrepreneurship comes with its highs and its lows. I feel it's an over glorified field. Not a lot of entrepreneurs understand that when they're entering this domain. So I think the challenges for me initially were more so to entailing the fintech sector itself and the ecosystem when we started out didn't really have those pillars in place. Now we see
Right.
a lot of regulations and a conducive environment coming into place, but then there was hardly anything that could promote or fuel the wheels for fintech. Even now, you do see a lot of moving parts. So I think the challenges lie around how the ecosystem and the fundamentals around here are playing to encourage or promote, fintechs like ourselves, particularly on the credit or the lending side. And I think as a
Right.
female, I think it's not only being an entrepreneur. Of course, entrepreneurship and being a female entrepreneur comes with its innate challenges. But I think females in any field generally have an extra set of I I think requirements or expectations that have to be met outside of the work field as well. So for me, I think it has been working harder to prove your own opinions and standing up for it. I think that's something that as a woman we all have to do because it is definitely a male dominated industry. And so I
Exactly.
think that's something that I wouldn't say it's because I'm a woman. I have faced those challenges being an entrepreneur, but I
True.
think there's another set of challenges, but that one has to maybe embrace and I think just beat hands on.
True, true, true. So, do you think that it's these challenges that women has to face uh, is only in Pakistan, or do you think that globally it is there?
It's a global phenomenon. I think in Pakistan, culturally, it's a little more pronounced. Um, but I think I call it the subtle art of being undermined. I think that's one of the most pronounced challenges that females face all over the world. and
True.
we probably have to face a little more in this part.
Right, right. So, what tips would you like to share with young women leader and startups? Because there are a lot of women out there who are actually starting a lot of stuff.
Yes, so I'd say, I always say this. I think for all entrepreneurs, I think have a purpose. You just stay close to your vision always. Pursue it with perseverance and always be ready to pivot because, environment will always change, scenarios will change. Your model has to evolve, so
True.
that you can succeed as an entrepreneur and a startup can go on to the next stage. Secondly, I think as a woman, I'd always say that strong women are not born. They're formed by the storms that they walk through.
They're
So
created by the society.
yeah, so I think definitely we have to as women I think take on some challenges with more rigor, and I'd say just stay steadfast and don't let anything let you waver.
Yeah, that's very right. So, this Taste Financial Services, which you are in, so do you offer any packages, or it's for a different segment? Have you categorized it?
So I think the segments that we're serving are already the underserved and the unserved segments. So
Right.
I, the what we really bring to the table is serving people who otherwise do not have access to financial services. And the vision really here is to transcend them from a state of, financial vulnerability to a state of economic empowerment by leading them to different journeys of the financial roadmap. I'd say it's starting with credit, taking them to insurance and savings, and ultimately investments. And I think with time, the vision really is to create credit histories for the masses. And that's what we're trying to do and graduate them to other financial services.
Right, right. So, being a leader in a leadership role, so how do you define leadership?
Well, that's a tough one. I think leadership is, for me, um, it's a selfless act of creating something meaningful, not only for the people for whom a company is created, but the people who actually are within that company who get those wheels rolling. And I think it's about having a purpose larger than oneself, your own self. So I think leadership generally it's a very well I feel it can be at times a very lonely position to be in,
Yeah,
but
exactly.
it comes with a purpose, with a selfless purpose, I'd say.
राइट सो आपको कभी इस तरह लाइक फील हुआ हो कि बिकॉज यू आर अ वुमेन लीडर एंड यू आर लीडिंग द कंपनी सो यू हैव मतलब आपको ये कहीं लगा हो कि आप यू डोंट हैव मच से इस तरह के कभी challenges have you faced?
So yeah, luckily, thankfully, I think सबसे बड़ी चीज़ ये है कि my team is amazing,
Exactly.
and we share a great culture within this, and everyone is supporting each other, whether it's male or female. That's what we strive for, growth of each individual. And I
True.
think being a female, you probably might have to work harder to get your opinions heard at times, but it's not. I think we've done a great job within this to build a culture that promotes equality and promotes excellence, whether or not it comes from a particular gender.
Right. So, what is your view on growth of fintech and inclusive finance?
Well, I think fintech is, as we see, it's the place to be. When many people say every company is going to ultimately be a fintech, and for Pakistan, I think things are now beginning to turn. The leaves are turning. It's the right time. I think a lot is to follow. This is the right time, the right place, and I'd say with a lot of amazing entrepreneurs are coming in, there is mammoth potential for growth, both within and outside of Pakistan. And I think there's so many areas within the space itself, be it credit, savings, payments. You talked about it.
Yeah.
I think the best part is that it is probably one of the, well, I'd say fintech really is the catalyst for serving the financial needs of the masses. And
Yes.
so I think that's what one should really be looking out for in the years to come.
True, true that. So, do you have any expansion plans? Like, how do you see TAFE Financial Services in like 2, 3 years?
Well, for now, I think Pakistan is, well, you see, I think expansion plans definitely exist for all companies to grow and expand.
Viewers, I believe that we have some technical problem. We will be right back, inshallah, soon with Naureen Hyat once again. Thank you very much.